Okay, so Stella's panting in the background. We just went for a little walk. But I'm going to do 2 today because there's something I just can't get it out of my head. And so I need to talk more about it. And my hair, I didn't ever finish about that. It was putting those 2 different things on. So the honey, it seemed like it just like stayed right in here. And it didn't go down through the rest of my hair. And then... or it attached more to that part or something. And then the vinegar I always have where it is so different around my scalp than it is on the longer part of my hair. And so this is just for people, you know, who have long hair to just consider this. It seems like the bottom of my hair getting dried out is what creates more secretions to try and move down there. And that's why I was saying the boar bristle brush is really important, to keep brushing and brushing those oils all the way through your hair and get them really in the ends, because otherwise I think if the hair down here is dry, it signals to the scalp, put more moisture, put more moisture. And so anyways, it's just kind of a working theory, but I was trying to share that earlier. Another thing too about the fake sun that I have for my plants, I don't know if I finished about that, but over that week and a half while I was gone, I had plants die without that fake sun. So the real sun is not keeping all the plants alive. And another thing around here is all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of things. Like, I don't know if they've sprayed us with some... I don't get it, or if it's something, I don't know. I mean, when you hear that they're only putting spray now to kind of counteract the poisons, and but do they have control over some places? I don't know. And in some things still have to play out. And when we were just walking, I could totally smell gas. Like, it smelled like a gas leak in the street, and I was just like... and I look around and all these tanks, a lot of people have these big natural gas tanks. And like I said, that, well, they're always digging and stuff over there and just, you know, pillaging the land and stuff. It feels like they're going to hit something and create an explosion. And I was smelling that gas. I was like, it just seems like there's so many disasters just waiting to happen all around us. And, you know, you don't know what's next anywhere you are. But definitely I could smell gas outside. It's like, fuck, who knows what the fuck this means. And when I had gotten back, my whole, just like, no, I don't think it's as bad as last year, but my whole ground is just saturated with dead pine needles everywhere. And spiders everywhere, spider webs, like everywhere. And there's just this a weird energy. The whole thing is weird. When I even go out of my yard to start walking with Stella, it's just weird. Everything is so weird. I feel so disjointed from life or something. So, you know, so much a part of like a cartoon character that came to life in a cartoon and is like, I'm in the wrong one. I'm supposed to be in that one. I don't know. It's weird. It's just such a weird feeling. And, you know, and you just got to keep going with it in this heavy energy that is happening, you know. I don't know, it provokes so much. I guess I've seen footage of the big brawl in Mobile, Alabama. It was for a boat ride or something. It turned into some like racial war on this dock or something. I'm not sure what was going on and what words were spoken, but I mean, there was men beating up a woman, but then she jumps up and starts fighting, and she looks like this little scrawny woman. So I have no idea what was going on that dock or whatever, but there is so much coming out of people. And just as like, what was that? Oh yeah, that movie I was watching with Meryl Streep and stuff. Edward Furlong or whatever, and he killed the girl. And he said, and this was so perfect, because he said it was like, I didn't want to do this stuff, but it was like it was just happening. I couldn't stop it, because everything is destiny. Like, you can't stop what is going to happen. What is meant to be is meant to be.
And, and you are here to learn from the consequences of whatever is or whatever has become or any of the things. And so, because that is really, really true. And so many people, like, who find themselves in a crisis or something, it's like they can't stop themselves. It is just whatever's going to play out, it's going to play out. It has to play out. And just as, your spirit team can come in and holler at you, if you're not listening, they'll just take over control. And, you may not remember that you're supposed to, fight and kill that person or whatever. So, but none of those are what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was, trying to think. So today I have done a whole bunch of nothing so far. It says 9 now. But it's a whole bunch of just weird random shit. Like, I don't know. That is what I'm saying. Everything is so disjointed. I went for a walk. I brushed my teeth. Oh yeah, and I'm pulling down the covers now looking for brown recluses. A lot of people are getting spider bites. A lot of people are having weird interactions with animals. And so I'm starting to look at my bed, especially like being gone. I'm pulling all the sheets back. Is there anything living in there? So I'll get bit by something. There's already, when I shut my eyes, there's so much activity anyways that it is, I got to shut it all out, shut it down. And like I crawl myself into a little ball. I put myself into, I'm like a roly-poly. I used to love roly-polies when I was a kid. I always thought that was so cool, but I'm like a roly-poly. I just pull myself in. And it's funny because I'm a crab, because I'm a Cancer. And they all also rely on that capability to pull it all in and to go into this state of comfort or something. So when I go to bed and all of it, start to shut my eyes and there's just like all this shit. So I just pull into like a little ball and focus my energy, focus my thoughts where I want them to be and shut the other stuff out. And some of it's very intrusive. And so, it's a challenge. And that is where I'm sure a lot of people are feeling like they're going crazy. But the stuff is real. It really is happening. And the just feeling so disjointed from life. Feeling so like I don't even know the words to express it. But it just feels like you're not really a part of it or something. Like I don't know. Just gets weirder all the time when I talk about this stuff. It's not like it's getting more. It's like the less you let go of the anchors that hold you down, the more you take down the cages that bind you, that hold you in and contain you and contain your mind. And the more that you begin to develop so that you can, every thought you have, that you can look and see, is this a cage? Why do I think this? What am I doing this? Why am I thinking? Walk yourself through that. Then the more you detach from that, the more it is like you're just free floating out there. And it is, if you don't know who and what you are, like it's going to be really scary. Like you have to rely on that. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of this stuff, you can't skip parts. You can't force parts to happen. You can't make things go the way you want. Things are going to play out. They're going to roll the way the river rolls. You can't, go and jump way down the river. You are floating down the river and you got to go through the whole scenario to get there. And so your path, your road to enlightenment encompasses so much of your development. And so, you don't want to be trying to skip parts. You don't want to try and become like the super spirit and all that. You want to just own it, own everything you're going through as you begin to connect to yourself and detach from this world of illusion. And so, but as you do it, just be, knowing that there's a lot of times where you're going to feel like, what the fuck? What am I connected to? What am I, it's weird. And but the thing I wanted to talk about was I went on TikTok. I must have gone on TikTok or something. I don't fucking know. I think I looked for something to watch, but I couldn't focus on I couldn't get my mind to stay on that. So I started looking at TikTok. That's what it's like. I'm just bouncing around just the same way as I'm talking. That's how I'm just like living right now. Oh, should I go do this? Oh, maybe I'll do that. Oh, I think I'll do this. It's just like, that was funny. When I was at the lake, these kids kept wanting to come up and play with Stella. And they kept coming up to her, especially the next morning when all the parents were asleep. And the kids that are out there on their own, they're out there. And so they want to come up and talk to Stella and whatnot. And this one little girl keeps coming over and doing it. And she brings the whole little team with her one time. And one of them's a little boy, and he's got a stick, and he's hitting things as he goes. And there's an older sister, looks like she's probably like 2 or 3 years older than him. But she's already started becoming like that, like, more stretched out version of a kid. It's like they go through different phases. Sometimes they stretch out, sometimes they bulk up, and then they stretch out. It's like different phases through a kid's development. But she was in that part where she's kind of gone from 1st grade to 4th grade looking. And her brother looks like he's probably in like 2nd grade or something. And I could be totally off. It could be 6th grade and 4th grade. I don't know. But he's got this stick and he's hitting things and stuff. And they come over to talk to the dog and stuff. And the brother's hitting things and talking. And she goes, my brother has attention deficit. And so then I go, oh, so do I. I think everybody does. And the little girl, my daughter's sitting there. She was the one that was like, oh my God, that was so funny. But the little girl, she just didn't know what to say. She was just like, but I really do think, we all have these things. It's how we perceive. It's how we initiate our existence. And so we all have these weird little things that they try and label and diagnose and give us pills to stop us being who we are. But anyways, it's just funny, because kids make an excuse for their little brother. He's attention to it, but check. So am I. No judgment. Like, he can sit and talk and hit this tree and, tell a story and do a dance all at the same time. And I'll be like, hell yeah. You got skills, boy. So anyways, but none of that was what I was going to talk about. What I was going to talk about, so while I'm in my weird little world, trying to find something to entertain myself, I guess, apparently, I was on the TikTok. And so I saw this girl, and this story just was like really sad. It just really broke my heart. And, the thing is like, there's so much to it. There's so much going on about it. And people's perception of things are so small. It's like they've got a whole beach to look at, but all they find is this one piece of sand, and that's all they can see. They can't see the beach. They can't see the water. And so in the piece of sand that they focus on is reflecting back to them their own pain. So anyways, if you understand, like, every single person who you tell a story to, everybody's going to hear different things. Everybody's going to perceive it in different ways. Different parts are going to stick out to different people. It all depends on their own life experience, their own perception, their own state of being, and everything. The receiver is a big part of the information. You can be putting something out, but it may not be received in the way you're putting it out. And, but intention has a big part to play, but people are just, we're just going through this process of understanding about intention and receiving and information and stuff. And so, it's quite open to me. It's like right purging out on the surface. It's like right in front of us all around the place. And so this girl, and it's so crazy too, because first I saw a different girl. And so I don't know if me listening to her story got me into the algorithm of girls sad about their weight, or if it was, if it's a whole bunch of girls going through it right now and there's just an excess of these videos. I don't know. But the first one, it was sad too, because she thought she had this real true connection with this guy, And, you know, maybe a lot of these girls haven't spent a lot of time with just guys, just guy friends, just guys. Like, I was a girl who spent a lot of time with a lot of guys my whole life. Like, I had a lot of guy friends. I've been married and in a relationship for most of my life, and that they, you know, so I would be around their friends. I'd hear their talk. I'd hear their single talk. I've heard a lot of guys talk. And so when I say, you know, the things I've heard, it's not what I believe the guys think. It's what I've heard guys say. And so, you know, and I think, you know, a lot of girls, you know, they want to be accepted for who they are, but, you know, in this superficial world, guys have a really hard time getting over women's weight issues. And so, and it can't even be like if that guy gets over it and he's okay with it, then one of his friends who isn't says something and it just knocks him right back to, you know, I mean, they say mean things. And so, you know, it is sad, you know, because those girls do want to just be seen for who they are, but that is the dark side of a superficial world. As the side that we need to see is, you know, the beautiful people aren't being recognized because the package isn't beautiful enough for some people. Because everything has to be this it's so ridiculous too, is how, oh, well, if this body type is popular, then it's that body type. If it's this body type that's popular, then it's that body type. And, you know, it's just silly. But, so the person who, the one girl who was doing the first video, you know, she's dating this guy for a while and thinks they've got, you know, such a good bond and they have so much in common and all this stuff. And then, he was the first person who ever told her she was beautiful. And then he turns around and says, you know, I've tried to see your beauty, but I can't get over your weight. I just feel like you don't take care of yourself and all that stuff. And that's going to be a huge trigger, you know, but, you know, in the whole scheme of things, it's supposed to be a trigger. It's supposed to get the different women to question their own health, question, you know, am I taking good care of myself? You know, and deciding for themselves, you know, but the triggers are there for a reason. They aren't just because this person's mean. This person crossed your path to give you this information. The whole scenario played out exactly the way it was supposed to play out. It was supposed to impact you. It's supposed to have meaning. It's supposed to hit hard so you really look at yourself and you really see, am I truly taking care of myself? Am I truly there for me? And a lot of people are going to find that they're not. And, you know, this gave me all emotional because so many people think that they are, and they think that body positivity and stuff is the way, but they are not taking care of themselves. And so, you know, a lot of stuff is going to hurt. And so anyways, you know, I've seen a lot of heavier women crying lately. But I've seen a lot, you know, of women have huge, powerful weight losses. I've seen them all on, you know, showing all of their loose skin and trying to be just really positive about the whole. I've seen so many different things of people really trying to claim who they are and find out who they are and accept themselves and stuff. You know, it's all a really cool thing to see, but it's also very hard. And so, you know, that lady was, you know, sad, and she's really trying to just love herself and appreciate herself. And, you know, I don't know if she has health issues. I don't know what all her issues are. You know, I don't know why she received that trigger at that time. But, you know, I think that just her speaking out has other women talking about it. Just like me, I'm talking about it. So as other women, you know, it plants the seeds. It gets other women looking at things and thinking about things and talking about things. It opens our conversations when more people share their experience. And so after that one, though, the next one that came on was even sadder, because this one was, she was a young, dark-skinned girl, And I think, a lot of young, dark-skinned people are so ingrained with the social messaging that they're not good enough, and that there's a lot of older people that are lighter skinned that don't like them. And, like I've said, any older, lighter skinned person that doesn't like a darker skinned person, it's just because they don't know them. It's just because they haven't been around, and it's not because they hate them. And then they create fear on the news and get people to fear what they don't know. That's, I don't see it as being racism, knowing somebody and then just hating them for the color of them. That, I think we're being misled. I think a lot of people are being misled. But anyways, so this girl, was already a person who she was going to feel rejected by. And so, think of her as being the receiver. So the information that's already coming is coming from somebody she's expecting this kind of, you're not good enough kind of generalized consensus on her state of being. And so she, she's a larger gal. I don't know her size. I'm not standing next to her. She's got cheeks. I had cheeks, and I was real skinny. So, cheeks don't automatically mean that you're going to have the same size body as you do cheeks. So, a lot of these girls who are on the thing, they can have a chubby face. And there's a lot of people who can have chubby bodies and not have chubby faces. So, just showing somebody's face doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, wow, she is pretty big or anything, or, gosh, she's not even that big. Why would that woman say that? But so, and she's young. She's only 23. Her whole life there's been big people. She's probably never lived any time without there being big people, and big people wasn't always a thing. That was a creation. And so the, when you have like an older lady, like where these old white ladies keep getting like the raw end of the stick or something like that. They're raised in a time where it was a lot of pressure put on them to be perfect, a lot of pressure put on them to take care of themselves, a lot of pressure put on them to please others. And so, and then we have all of this, this purging of stuff, and people just learning how to stand up for themselves and be vulnerable and stuff like that. And then a lot of these people come across as like crazy Karen people or whatever, out yelling and screaming, and like it's just, it's pretty messy, this whole thing. But so this older, I'm thinking she must have been pretty small, older woman. And of course, she's lighter skinned, as Lay said. And so she comes over and says, asks her how old she is. And she tells her, and she says, "You're so pretty. Why?" And she has like that really, just this beautiful round face, these long, pretty braids, these big round glasses. Like she looked like a cute little character. And, I could see why this woman could be sitting across looking at her and just going like, gosh, she's so pretty. Just stands out. Like I said, people like to see something that interests them. Everybody has a different concept of beauty. This beauty standard that they try and create for us is just, like I said, it's built on ridiculousness. It's like, this is who we think is pretty right now. This is who we think is pretty right now. It's just stupid. They just switch. It's bipolar, but people play along. And they try and find somebody in society that matches because that gives them value. So then, so this young girl, this older woman comes over and she tells her, "You're so pretty. Why don't you lose weight? You're way too pretty to be that big." And, I'm sure this woman is thinking she's doing something so nice. You know, she's motivating her. She's telling her how pretty she is. She's really giving her appreciation. You know, I mean, she's caught this woman's eye, and she feels motivated to go over and tell her how pretty she is. But she just can't understand why she's bigger. And, you know, the person from this time, this era, they don't understand because it's so much a part of our society, and that people like that are judgmental on their bodies and stuff. But the person who's doing that, she comes from a time where there was a lot of pressure put on you. Like, she knows you can be thinner. You just got to take care of yourself, you know. You just got to, you know, she knows. She can recognize that there's an out of control factor that is going on in the world. You know, a consumer gluttony that is happening in our society. And she can understand, you know, that you can take matters into your own hands. You don't have to be as big as what it seems is the thing, because like the 3 meals a day, that was all, you know, just to make us gain weight. Putting the shit in our food was to make us all gain weight. Americans are so much bigger than in other places from all the additives and stuff. Like, there's a reason. But that means you have to start looking for the reasons, not just accept, well, I'm just bigger. This is just me. I'm just a big person. And the thing that was getting me when I was thinking about this is I was out walking with Stella, and I was, you know, just thinking about the communication gap. I mean, I could see it because I've known so many women like that little lady going over. Not that I've known so many women who would go over and tell somebody something about their weight. You know, I'm sure a lot of people would see that as like, that is really bad boundaries. And yeah, you shouldn't go over and tell somebody something about their physical appearance. But, you know, I mean, it is the orbit, the paths that cross us, the triggers, they're all on purpose. This interaction wasn't by accident. This interaction was a very definite thing that was supposed to happen. This girl was supposed to be triggered. This woman was supposed to do that. Like, I mean, for all we know, the little skinny white lady was the angel of this other lady, and that she came over to say that because the woman wouldn't be able to get it out of her head, and it was going to motivate her to make big changes in her life that was going to save her life. You know, that's how things work more. But we see it as like, how offensive. Oh my God, that's so rude. That's so mean. And all that stuff, because we get triggered and we think that that person who's triggering us is the bad guy. We don't see it as an opportunity to see something that we don't see. And so, and one of the big things that I was noticing while I was walking was like this period of time where they decided, because when you go to the older age generation, it was take up less space, you know, be smaller. And then it was take up more space, get bigger, take up more space. But the agenda that was associated with it was of making somebody take up, like, you're taking up too much space. The earth doesn't even like you. You're taking up too much space. So get uncomfortable taking up a lot of space. Because like I said, like what I was talking about before, the soul has no concept of size and color and gender and all that stuff. The soul doesn't care about that stuff. That is part of the storyline. So the soul isn't managing life on the same aspect as the avatar, the feeler, the seer. You know, is different roles. And so the soul, it doesn't feel like, you know, like I know because of going through, you know, problems where I would get too thin, and then I would still feel like I wasn't thin enough. It wasn't like I was anorexic or something, because I would eat. I would just be down on myself. It's like, I think they call it body dysmorphia. And so many people have it. That's what they say, even like the trans people have and stuff. And that is where I'm seeing is because your soul doesn't have this same reference. Like, we don't know how big we are unless we compare ourselves to somebody else. And then it's just a generalized thing because, like, you could go here, you could go someplace and you could be small. You go over to China and you're huge. You go to Saudi Arabia and you're tiny. It's all different depending on who you're next to. And so it really is like a strange reference, but we're always trying to figure out who and what we are. Are we bigger than people? Are we smarter than people? Are we prettier than people? Do people like us? Are we funnier? It's all us trying to figure ourselves out. And so the the idea of our size is way more about getting comfortable. And one of the things why, because I've never really gained, the most weight I've ever gained in my life was being pregnant, like 45 pounds. And then I think after my hysterectomy, when I started having, menopause or whatever. It could have been just the brain injury stuff too. And my body got so out of whack. And I think I gained like 42 pounds. So the most I've ever gained is like around 42, 45 pounds over from, your weight when you become an adult as a child, whatever grade that is. I don't know. Like when you're in high school, and you become a grown up and then you become a certain weight and then you're that weight until you stop being that way, until you get pregnant, until you start drinking a lot, whatever the thing is. And so from that weight, my base weight is what I would refer to it as. Because so many people, there was a thing, I don't even think they talk about it anymore. But when I was growing up, there was a thing that they would say, like every decade you age, you gain 10 pounds. Your metabolism slows down and stuff. Like for people in their 60s and 70s and stuff, supposedly, you can only eat like a raisin a day if you don't want to gain weight. Or you can be like active, don't just sit around, do a lot of stuff. And then, it's an energy exchange. So you can take energy in, and our way of taking in energy is through food. And then they do all this stuff to doll it up so it becomes a thing that is, and people even use it for comfort. Like it becomes like a blanket. But so many people, to me, not gaining weight has to do with feeling uncomfortable inside of me. So if I start to gain weight at all, I'll start to become very uncomfortable. Like my stomach will start like pulling out. My back will start hurting. Just those kinds of things. I'm like, oh, I gotta lose weight. That's uncomfortable. So that is always how I've always stayed kind of close to my weight. When I was young, I used to always say, have a pair of jeans that is the weight that you want to be, your best pair of jeans or whatever. And always just try and stay in those jeans. If you start gaining weight, don't go buy another pair of jeans, which I've bought more pairs of jeans. I'm not saying I did this for my whole life. This is just something I used to say and it does work. I have done it at different times in my life, but not for my whole entire life. But, you get to a place, after you have kids and you've worked and you've gotten yourself in good shape or you feel good about yourself and you got a pair of jeans and you love them. But it's easy to go out of that range, to go down or go up. And so use that gene as your barometer. Like if the jean's getting too tight, then you need to eat less. If the jean's getting too loose, then you need to eat more. You have your own gauges to figure yourself out. But, a lot of people like that. And that's a part of, too, them changing the trends and stuff. And them making it about stretchy clothes. There were a lot of people who couldn't even tell they were gaining weight. So they got all these people to gain weight and take up all this space. And then they start telling them they're taking up too much space, make them feel bad about themselves, make them feel like they're a burden to society. I can't believe how serious some of these people are to think that they are, a problem on this earth and that they are the problem why the earth has got climate change. Like there's seriously so many people who believe that. And But it's like they create this guilt in people, like you're taking up too much space, but get them to gain weight so they take up more space. So they already feel kind of uncomfortable, kind of awkward, kind of unsure of themselves because your soul, all you're doing is packing on extra weight. Like I said, so many people, they do it as like a cushion. Like something is painful or vulnerable, they put on pounds as a cushion. Well, that makes it even harder to get through to the soul. So it is, it's like a deflection or a distraction or something. It is a way to keep yourself from healing. And so it's important to, like I just saw this girl yesterday in her video. She was a size 16 or an 18 before, and now she's a size 6. And she was talking about, because there's a whole bunch of people who are out doing these videos too. They've lost a lot of weight, and now people are treating them, they call it pretty privilege or skinny privilege, and they're treating them different. Now that people are really starting to look at things like, it's giving them a new perspective. And so, but there's also a shallow aspect. And so, this girl, she was saying all the differences from going from a 16 to a 6. And, she's something like, not all of them are great. Like, she's cold all the time. And what was the difference in how people treat you. But she said it's kind of annoying when you see, how people will treat you differently. And there was some other things I can't remember. But the what was I going to say? I guess I have a whole bunch of these different videos coming into my head right now. But it was something where she, whatever it was that she, man, I feel just like lost all of a sudden. Because this other guy that I was seeing, he was a really good looking guy, and he was at a restaurant, and his server came up, and she was really pretty, but he didn't want to act like anything, and he doesn't see he's good looking. He was really, really good looking. And he's older, so he didn't want to, so he ate his few bites, and he asked for a box. And so she was like, oh, you're not even going to eat it? Wasn't it good or something? And he goes, well, I've done weight loss surgery, so I just got to take the rest home. I guess you just got to eat it little by little. I'm not sure, because I know that a lot of those banding things, they just put a band so your stomach can't be very big. But you can stretch it back out, so you got to be careful. And but you can also shrink your stomach yourself without going and doing the surgeries. But people lose faith in themselves because of all of the obstacles that they give them, the diet plans and stuff. That's not the things, those are things to just set you up for failure. And then they always get them, different meds and different pills. I think there's so many people whose metabolism and their hormones are so jacked up that they can't lose weight. Their system's all out of whack. And that's why it's really important at this time to really focus on your health, your mind, body, spirit, really get right by you. And so, the young girl, taking it as this, older woman is really hurt her feelings and made her feel really bad about herself. But I was really hearing like, this woman really thought you were really, really beautiful. And another thing that people who are struggling with their weight don't realize is like, people who aren't struggling with their weight don't look at you as like, well, they're stuck. They are stuck. They can never get out of that. They're always going to be heavier. No, everybody looks at you like, even the people who are bigger and lose weight, everybody looks at everybody. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, the 16 to the 6. Yeah, what she said was, I thought all my problems would go away because I lost weight, but they don't. You still have the same problems. And, because the problems, a lot of people put on weight to hide from their problems. Your problems are still always going to be there. Problems don't go away. Like skinny people, beautiful people still have problems. So it's a part of what every single person is here to experience. And even, you know, people who seem like they've got it so easy because how they look would have no problems, they've got huge problems. There's no scenario to come into this world that you're not going to have problems. There's no being pretty enough to not have problems. No being perfect enough to not have problems. No, problems are a part of the experience so that you can learn and grow and develop. So it's important. And so, you know, the young girl, though, you know, is taking on, you know, this woman is ridiculing her, putting her down or whatever, you know, and it's just a trigger because I really do hope this girl does see, I can lose weight. I can lose weight if I want to lose weight. I could probably, you know, maybe I could cut that mayonnaise out of my sandwich each day. Let's just see what happens if I did that. Let's just, let's go down to one coffee drink a day. Let's see what happens about that. You know, there's little things. Then once you get the seed planted, you start thinking like, well, do I really need that? Do I really need that bowl of ice cream before I go to bed? You know, and you start reevaluating, what do you really need? You know, would it feel better to take better care of myself and feel good about myself? You know, because it is sad for how many of these people think like the people don't like them or something over their weight. It's like, no, I take it very much as this woman sees you as like, you know, she obviously thinks you can lose weight. She obviously doesn't see you trapped in a body like you feel trapped in the body. She probably thinks she's giving you great motivation, reminding you of how beautiful you are. And so, but the receiver, the trigger, is going to, you know, be received in a very different way. But it's meant to be received in that trauma, in that way of bringing up, you know, because so many of these women too, it brings back all the memories of all the times that anybody ever said to them. And, you know, a lot of young girls who struggled with their weight from the beginning, who were chunky little kids or whatever, you know, they had people saying shit to them all the time when they were little. And, you know, but that is also that generation that had a lot of pressure put on them. That, you know, you're going to really get that other piece of cake? You don't need that piece of cake. Why would you get that piece of cake? You know, you already look like your pants are getting too tight. You know, and they didn't come from times like, Stella, stop. They didn't come from the times like that. Like, that woman probably thinks she's being so sweet and gentle to this lady. That woman has probably been, you know, told some shit throughout her life. And so she doesn't think that she's being toxic. She thinks she's being kind. Is that how I'm imagining it? Like, I don't know. Stella, stop. Ugh. God. So anyways, I don't know for sure. You know, I'm not there. I'm not friends with the woman. I'm generalizing too. But there's definitely, you know, the older people who seem to have no manners to younger people is because they are from a different time, a different expectation. There's a different demands made on them. And so, and, you know, they don't look at it as like being rude. They don't look at it the same way. They wouldn't be doing it if they did. And that is what so many people from other generations can't see. They think, well, this is how we look at it. This is how it should be. This is, you know, the younger people. Like, I just heard this guy talking about, you know, these younger people, they're not going to put up with it. They're not going to put up with this stuff. And there's going to be more brawls like in Mobile. And, you know, and it is. It is going to be more and more of violence and stuff. But that isn't, you know, that's not higher minded. That is reactive. That is childish. That is not growth. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of that. But that's the purging of that. That's the getting rid of that stuff. That's not like a good way to handle. You know, would it be smart for that woman just to turn around and punch the lady in the face and say, how dare you bring up my weight? No, luckily she approached a kind person, and maybe she's going to have backlash, whatever her lessons are. I don't know what, you know, Maybe she's going to hear about this TikTok and she's going to hear how it was taken, and it's going to make her see her own self. Like, you don't know what anybody's lessons are because you're not on that side of it. But just when you are receiving, just keep trying to remember that even if you don't understand what somebody is saying, it doesn't matter. You don't have to take it on as your own. You don't have to take on any of their stuff as your own. So you don't have to think something's wrong with you because somebody sees something else that you may not agree with, that you may feel uncomfortable about, or you may feel bad about. Like a woman was just saying that she was walking into a place, and I don't know, something weird with her legs, and a guy said, "Oh, what's wrong with your legs?" And she said, "Well, I'm disabled." And he thought she had gotten an injury or something. And so then he's like, "Oh, sorry, and she was like, don't just lead in with, what's wrong with your legs, But, I mean, there's nothing wrong with curiosity and trying to understand things either. We shouldn't feel bad. Like, I don't know. I've got pretty thick skin, I guess, because, yeah, I mean, everywhere I go, I'm like stared down by like little kids, stared down by lots of people. I've definitely had people say things to me about tattoos and stuff. I can't sit here and be like, oh, well, they don't like tattoos, so therefore I must be a bad person. Who cares? Who cares? Well, they don't like heavy people. Who cares? Who cares what they like or what they don't like? It has no effect on you. And any interaction is just an opportunity for you to process whatever comes up. You don't have to dig down. Something comes up. And that's what you need to process. That's what you need to go into more, is what comes up. Go deeper into that, because that was a gift from the universe. That wasn't a mean person that came in to hurt your feelings. That was something to come in to trigger a reaction, to trigger a new development in how you were perceiving you. And so, but, really, like, all the different generations have totally different perspectives, totally different ways of looking at things. They don't all look at things like, people who are young now, it's like they think that we were all raised during these times and we all see the things they see. Just like, it's like us older people can look at them and be like, oh my God, they don't even know how to dial a phone. They don't even know how to go out into the world and not have a phone, not have access to anybody while you're out. Like, they don't understand, like, what develops in you. There's certain things that are not getting developed in them that developed in some of us. And so all those things to become reliant on and dependent on, they destroy our own development. But I do find it very curious is how that they really pushed this weight, taking up more space, be comfortable with yourself, at the same time of trying to pile on so much guilt about destroying the planet, eating too much food, you can't eat meat, you can't eat this, you can't eat, when you really see what they're trying to do is just destroy how you feel about yourself, destroy your psyche, and the whole thing about space. If you start really catching on to what space is and what space means, and, the space you take up, I love that song. I've said it before, but Take Up Space, Sis. If you haven't heard that song, just listen to it. It is, I think there's going to be a lot of these really powerful anthem-y kind of songs for people as they heal and grow and claim themselves and stuff. But it is, you take up space. Don't feel bad about the space that you take up. You can take up as much space as you want to take up. Don't minimize yourself. Don't get smaller because they want to make you feel bad. Don't feel bad about you, and don't let others make you feel bad about you. Start recognizing, oh, well, this is a trigger. Okay, so, she's noticing my weight. How do I feel about my weight? Do I feel happy? Am I content? Is there something that I don't like about it? My guess is, yeah, or you wouldn't be triggered. My guess is, yeah, there's something you feel bad about, and that's what got triggered. And that's why you need to have the trigger happening, because this is the opportunity to release the thing that's making you feel bad. And that's why it's like the hand of God sweeping in to give you an opportunity to heal something for yourself, to see yourself through a different way, to understand yourself in a more complex, complicated version of yourself. So, anyways, but don't feel like that, this coming into yourself means that you need to stand up and punch everybody, who doesn't agree with you, doesn't see things the way you are, that triggers you. The higher mind doesn't take the triggers and react. You become non-reactive. You become an observer. You see people who behave in extraordinary ways that you feel are, below your stature, and you're not going to react. Like, as a senior in high school, going to go down to the grade school, and a first grader is going to call him a big poopy head, and the 12th grader is going to jump on him and start punching him. No, the 12th grader is going to look at it like, oh, look at the little kid, and that's where you've got to get into that. Don't let these people trigger you to become something that you don't see yourself being, unless you see yourself as a violent person who is overreactive and doesn't have any control over their emotions and needs to punch people. So if and maybe there's going to be people who are going to go through that, and they're going to see footage of it, they're going to be disgusted by themselves, and it's going to be their awakening. That's how this stuff works. But just don't think that that is you taking up for yourself. If you get yourself in that role, well, anybody says anything to me, be ready. Like, that's not, moving up into higher mind. Higher mind, is a peace. It is for they know not what they do. And for we give them the space to understand themselves. So they grow into themselves, because the understanding is pure and innocent. It comes to fruition on its own. It is not forced by another. It is allowed. It is allowed by oneself. But oneself has to become comfortable and not reliant. And there's just, there is just so many people who are so reliant on others to give them the view of who they are. And it is, so it's just really important, in all scenarios and all these different things happening, to continually question yourself, and don't just automatically think like, they've got things built up where people think, oh, this person or this generalized group or these people, or, I get attacked all the time for my age automatically. I'm an old white woman, so automatically I have a certain attitude and stuff. Well, yeah, a lot of us do have the same kind of thing that we see, because there was a general way that we saw things back when we were coming from the time we came from. There was an overall way that things were, and there's, enough of us here that it still has an impact, but then they can just sweep us to the side and say we have no value. Our way of seeing things isn't good anymore. But then they just keep going further down and cutting other generations out when we all have so much to offer one another. And so, there's things that they need to learn from the old white women, old white men. There's things that the young people need to learn. And it's not just learn, it's everything is about opening perspective. In a time over the last 40 years, when they've been trying to decrease perspective, dependent perspective, only see the way that they tell you to see, only behave in the way they tell you to behave, and only accept what they tell you to accept. It's all so controlled. And so it is, but the more different ages, the more different groups, the more different cultures, the more different people that you embrace, the more that you broaden your own horizons, you open your own mind. you become a bigger universe. The more you open yourself, the more that you can love and open, the bigger your universe will become. The person who is judgmental and bitter, theirs comes smaller and smaller and smaller. More people and more people, disregard them. They become more and more isolated, kind of like me being isolated. But no, I just have to go. I go out. It's not like people close their doors. I get invited places. I choose the hermit life, I guess. But anyways, so just, when people are saying things to you, don't just think, oh, well, it's just that old white lady saying that, a rude old bitch. Don't remember, like angels, the people who are here to help you grow, come in all shapes and sizes, all forms. A dragonfly flying up and landing on your shoulder. So some old lady coming over and telling you you're beautiful, remember you're beautiful and you can lose weight, is a gift. It's really not a mean thing, even though it's taken that way. But man, if that girl completely transforms herself, then you see what a beautiful gift that was. She can always look back and be like, yeah, this little lady came over one day and told me I was beautiful. It really hurt my feelings, and I really had to look at myself, and I really started thinking about how I was eating and how I was taking care of myself, and if I really was. And I kept thinking, well, I'm beautiful. And I didn't know I was beautiful. So many people think, well, I'm not the standard beauty, so I'm not beautiful. Standard beauty is nothing. That's a game. That's a billboard. And so the beauty comes from within. And when you're shining, you will see. And so, her beauty was already present. And she was already shining. And so, to me, just try and always be looking at things from a lot of different viewpoints, and remember to not just be reactive. Remember, who it is you're trying to become. Keep that on your vision board. Keep that in your higher mind. Who is it you're trying to become? Are you trying to become somebody who's angry and bitter and reactive? Or are you trying to become somebody who is peaceful? Who is, when other people are losing their minds, that you are the one who can stay centered and calm and bring other people to center. It is all about, what is it you're putting out in the world, and how does it affect others, and being aware of that, there's people out there who are, spreading a lot of toxic stuff, and they think that they are spreading healing, like a lot of psychologists, just like what I was saying about the narcissism and stuff, like giving people a label. There's a lot of fucking people who have been diagnosed and labeled with narcissism, and then you're just basically telling them that they don't have any place in our world. And so we just need a world full of givers who are just trying to manipulate everybody by doing good work so we'll all like them. It's like, the whole thing is out of balance. And so anyways, and then telling people to just cut people out of their lives. And there's so many people who are being cut out of people's lives and being rejected. And, this is a part of what this younger generation has to experience. They've got to see the things that they're doing that is a part of the problem. Because right now they think that they're all just the solution, that they got handed a raw deal, but they're the ones that are making all the change. It's like, yeah, but the change you're making is taking us straight down the toilet. Like, you're just all caught up in your ego, and you're detached. You are, what is the other thing that they do all the time is, over sexualize them, like put too much murder, too much violence, too much sex, all that stuff, desensitize them. They desensitize people. Even that Mobile brawl, when you see how many people are just sitting there videoing it, like, I'm surprised there's not 200 million of these fucking videos going around. I'm sure I've only been on Twitter a few minutes, and somehow, like, I'm in the algorithm of girls going through their weight issues. But, I'm sure once I go back on there, there'll be like a whole bunch of those videos. Like, and it seems like right now is like the heat seems to be the big problem. And at the same time, they're pushing their climate crisis. It's not up ahead, it's already here. So, they're doing this. They've got, several sun weapons out there. So I don't know. I really, really saw though. I've seen it over and over and over. The motherfucking moon is up in the sky all the time. The only reason it comes on at night is because they shine a light on it to light it up. This fucking Truman Show shit. This is some fucking nonsense telling us we're spinning around out in space and the fucking moon is upside down. We're hanging upside down half of our life. Like, the moon is over by Australia when we have the sun. Bullshit. Moon, go outside and find the fucking moon every day, all day long. It's right over us, just waiting for its time in the night to be shined on. And the way that the moon, or the way that these suns are going, like where people are, like in Florida, that one person saying it rose on one side and it set on the same side. So how is it it's not coming all the way over here? Because that one over here is going out around me. It's not ever going over the top of me. So there's just nonsense, nonsense, nonsense. But it's all of the things that have to occur so that people begin to question the reality and start seeing that you're living in a habitat and they're tricking you and they just want to use your energy. And there's far advanced beings that have control here. And so, but you can wake up, because once you wake up and you realize, then the game changes. So anyways, but I really wanted to talk about that because I just was seeing so many things. And then when I was out there walking and they were just showing me like how the whole scheme to get people to gain weight, because it really was like, go watch some old movies. There's no bigger people. Like, which one was Laurel and Hardy? The one heavyset guy. There would always be like who was the other one? Because Laurel and Hardy, but there was Abbott and Costello. So there was like a few heavy people, but they were like a joke person, like make fun. Kind of like how Melissa McCarthy came onto the scene, Yeah, she's a beautiful woman. She's heavy set, so therefore, she's got to keep making herself a joke. And so that is what, like that they did. But most of the people were all really, really small. And so when you go and you see that and you think about like, what would it seem like to those people in this world when all of a sudden all these people just keep gaining weight and gaining weight, and these people have learned to control their diet, like through because like I've said, people just don't realize how controlled that generation was. That was very, very controlled on a way more kind of like now it's, be open, be free, be you. And before it was very controlled. You'd be like Ozzie and Harriet, or you're just a reject in society. You get to church every Sunday, you're a reject in society. It's like, and so a lot of older people are very controlled. They haven't learned about a lot of this stuff. So, they don't have problems. I mean, some do. Some, start eating a bunch of junk and kept eating it and getting sick and stuff. But there's a lot of them that don't. A lot of older people who don't gain weight like that. And so, just recognize that the world is always changing, but there's still people from every different one. And they're there to remind us of different things so we can see, you know. I've had lots of old women come up to me. Why do you have all those tattoos? I've had lots of old women come up and tell me how much they love all my tattoos. Like how many of them, really have this inner wild child inside of them that has never got to experience. I think there's a lot of older women who never even had an orgasm. That repression, that repressed side of them, that like, oh, you can't feel your body, you can't touch your body, you can't do this, you can't do that, that it makes you a weirdo, sicko, pervert. Like, man, there's just so much manipulation in this place. But each person, has an opportunity, Everybody has that free will to wake up and see the truth. And so, I'm going to keep saying what I see. It just is apparently different than what a lot of other people see. But, it's still valid. And TikTok I did, when I said that, I was just like, man, I bet you that there's a lot of younger people who will come on that TikTok and they will tell me, like, how dare that woman had no right to go say that she shouldn't be going and talking about people's bodies. I'm not saying she should. I'm not saying, yeah, let's all run around and tell each other what we think of each other's bodies. It's it's not your business. It's not your business, you know. I'm talking about not, but what I want to say is don't you get caught up in that victim role of, people are just mean and out to get me. Start recognizing that the triggers that are happening are for you to become your best self. So just keep on trying to remember that. And every opportunity that, gets you an opportunity to show yourself. Are you violent? Are you out of control? Can you manage yourself? Can you manage your emotions? Can you go into a higher mind? Can you think deeper about things? And can you let go of shit? Can you, live by that, for they know not what they do, and let it go? It works for me on a lot of things, but, I still have challenges all the time. So, and right now the energy is weird. So whatever challenges you're going through, now I'm spoken like 3 hours a day. I'm telling you, I could just speak all day. I think I could just go and speak and speak and speak and never shut the fuck up. I could talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Especially like if somebody asks me questions, and I can just like, I drive my kids crazy. There's a reason why my kids they think I'm so crazy, because I can talk and talk and talk. And but anyways, I'm going to stop talking now though. So just just really try and look at things in broader perspective all the time. Don't work your way out of reactive victim and work your way into, creative observer. So anyways, I'll talk to you later. Bye.